Let that hand stay closed. I did not come to pry your fingers open. I'm not here to talk you out of the grip. Whatever you have been holding through this long stretch, hold it. Keep the knuckles white. I know exactly how they got that way. You have been holding on in the dark. That is the part nobody says out loud. Not in the light, where you could see the thing and measure it and decide whether it was worth what it was costing you. In the dark, with no face in front of you, with nothing to look at that would tell you whether this was an attack or an arm around you. And you held anyway. Right now as I speak, here's something about that grip. It has not failed. I know it feels like failure. It has gone on so long that the length itself started to look like a verdict, as if a fight that will not end must be a fight you are losing. The length of the night is not the measure of you. You did the arithmetic wrong. Everyone does. You took the hours and turned them into evidence against yourself. Still here, still holding, still nothing. And somewhere in the counting it flipped, and the thing that should have shown your endurance began to look like proof of your defeat. It is proof of neither. It is proof that someone did not walk off. Look at your own body for a second. Not to fix it, just to look. The shoulder that sits a little higher than the other one now. The way your back teeth are touching even when the room is quiet, even when nothing is happening and no one is asking you for anything. That did not come from weakness. Weakness lets go. Weakness sleeps. What you are carrying in that jaw is the shape of a person who has not put something down in a very long time. I am not asking for it. Hear that clearly, because you have been braced for it since the first sentence. Some part of you was already flinching, already getting ready for me to say the thing people say to you, that you are holding too tight, that you need to surrender it, that if you would only release, then peace would arrive. I am not saying that. Hold on. Hold on the way you have been holding on. That grip is not your sin. It is the most honest thing about you. There is one thing I want you to notice, and it is not the hand you are thinking about. But not yet. Before these words are finished, there is something I have been keeping back for you. It is a single word. It is not a secret. It is not new, and it was not invented a moment ago for your situation. It was written down long before you were born, and it has been sitting in my book with a night like yours attached to it, waiting for someone standing exactly where you are standing. I will put it in your hands before the end of this. First, hear this. You are not being punished. Let that one land before anything else, because you have half believed the opposite for longer than you would admit to anyone. Somewhere in the middle of this, you started running an audit on yourself. What did I do? Where did I go wrong? Which door did I walk through that I should have walked past? You have gone back over your own history looking for the crime that would explain the sentence. There is no crime. There is no sentence. There is a night, a long one, and someone in it with you who has not moved. You keep waiting for the grip to give from the other side. That is what you brace for every time the tiredness peaks. That this is the hour it finally lets go, and you will be left there with your hand closed around nothing but air. That hour is not coming. I have been in this the whole way through, not watching from somewhere with better light, in it. Down at your level, in the dark, close enough that you could no longer tell where you ended and where the hold began. Something has been holding on from the other side this whole time. Sit with that. A grip takes two hands. If your fingers had closed around nothing, you would have gone down long ago. There would be no strain in your arms at all. Nothing strains against air. You are straining because something is pulling back. You never worked that out. You could not see it. And because you could not see it, you decided it was not there. That is the oldest mistake a tired person makes. You turned the darkness into a report on my absence. Darkness is not a report. Darkness is only darkness. It means the light has not come up. It does not mean the place is empty. I know what it has cost to stay in it. Check your breathing. Do not change it, just check it. You pull air in all the way. You have not let air all the way back out in longer than you can remember. There is always a little held in reserve down there, kept back in case something comes at you. That is what a body does after a long stretch of bracing. It stops finishing things. Half a breath, half a sentence, half a prayer that thins out at the end because finishing it would mean asking for something out loud, and you are not sure you are allowed. That is not a flaw in your faith. That is a body that has been awake too long. There is something you have been getting wrong about the strength in your own arms. It is a kind mistake. You think you have been barely surviving this. You think each round has come within an inch of finishing you. Hear me carefully. This is the comfort I came to bring first. I want it in you before anything else. The fight has never once gone past what you could stand. Not by luck. Not because you happen to be tougher than the people who fell. Someone else has been setting the level. All night. I could have ended this in the first second. I did not want it ended. I wanted you close. And there is one way to be close to someone who will not be comforted, who will not be reasoned with, who will not sit still. You hold them. That is what wrestling is. It is the only kind of struggle where nobody lets go. Every other fight is about creating distance. A blow needs room. A blow needs a gap between two bodies to travel across. This one has no gap in it anywhere. This one is contact from the first moment to the last. So look again at what you have been calling my silence. You have been in contact with me the entire time. You could not tell. You had it filed as resistance. Everything that pushed back, you read as opposition. There was weight on the other end of your arms. You read it as the enemy of your rest. But some of that weight was me, staying at your level, refusing to be somewhere you could not reach. If I had come at full strength, you would not have felt held. You would have felt flattened. And you have had enough of being flattened by things bigger than you. So I came down to where your hands were. Close your eyes for a moment. Not to pray, not to concentrate on anything. Just close them for the length of one breath in and one breath out. This time, let the out one finish. Breathe out slowly, all of it, down to the bottom, the part you have been saving. Nothing is going to come at you in the 2 seconds it takes. Your body will want to stop it halfway. Let it go all the way down. That is the first thing I wanted to say to you. It is not everything I have to say, but it stands on its own. You can put your weight on it. You are not alone in this. You have not been alone in it for 1 hour of it. The thing you have been fighting against and the thing that has been keeping you upright are, in more places than you know, the same hands. Rest there a moment. Let that be enough for one breath. So be it, for now. But there is something I still have to say to you. I could stop there. It would be a kind place to stop. Everything I told you was true, and you could carry it out of here and go a little lighter under it, and I would not have lied to you once. But you would leave standing in exactly the position you came in with. And that position has a problem in it you have never once looked at. I have been counting hands. You think you are in this with one. That is the picture you carry of yourself. One fist closed around the thing you refuse to put down. One long night. One arm going numb from the shoulder out. A person holding on with everything available to them. There are two. The second one is not on me. Find it. It is up near your face, and it has been there the whole time. Not a fist. Flat. Pressed. Sitting across your own mouth like a lid held down on something that keeps trying to come up. You have been holding that one longer than the other. Count back and try to find where it started. You will not find a first day. There is no moment where you sat down and decided. It was already up before you had words for what it was covering. You were young when you worked out that certain things are safer kept inside you than let out into a room. Your hand went to your mouth. It never came all the way down again. Someone asks how you are doing. Watch what happens in the next half second, because there is a gap in there, a very short one. So short that nobody standing in front of you has ever caught it. Something true comes up in that gap. It gets as far as your throat. Then the smooth word goes out instead, the one worn down by thousands of repetitions, and the person nods, and the conversation moves along, and the true one slides back down to where it lives. You are so good at it now that you do not feel it happen. You do the same thing with me. Not on purpose. You come and you describe. You lay the situation out for me in order, careful and accurate and complete, the way a person reads a report to someone who is not in the room. What is going wrong? Who said what? How long it has been? What you have already tried? All of it true. All of it well organized. And not one sentence in the whole thing has you in it. You tell me what is happening to you. You never tell me what it has made you call yourself. Hear the difference in my voice here, because you are braced again and I can feel it. This is not a scolding. A scolding says you did it wrong. You did not do it wrong. You learned to keep that hand up somewhere it was expensive to put it down, and you learned it early, and you learned it well, and it protected something in you that needed protecting at the time. It worked. That is why it is still up. Things that work do not get put away. Ask any part of you that has come through something. It keeps whatever got it through. The habit outlives the danger every single time. It does not survey the room first. It does not check whether the thing it was built against is still standing there. It simply goes on doing what once saved you, in a house where nothing is hunting you anymore. But the danger walked out of that room a long time ago, and the hand stayed. Now you are sitting somewhere quiet with your mouth covered, guarding a house nobody is coming to. And the cost of that has stopped being safety and started being loneliness, and you have not been able to name the difference, because naming it would take the hand down. I want you to be very clear about what is being asked of you, not the first hand. Keep it. Keep it shut around me for as long as this takes, and longer than that if you need to. I have no intention of being let go of. That grip is welcome, and it always has been. The other one, that is the entire request. That is what this whole message is about, and everything I have said up to now has only been me walking toward it slowly so that it would not frighten you when it arrived. One hand, the quiet one, the one you forgot you were using. And before you tell me you do not know what is under it, let me save you the search. I know the word. I have heard it hundreds of times. You have never once handed it to me on purpose. It comes out when you drop something. That is when it slips past you. A cup goes off the edge of the counter. A key will not turn on the first try. You pull a door that says push, and something goes out of your mouth, under your breath, so low that nobody in the next room would catch it. One word, sometimes two, always the same one. That is not temper. That is a verdict. You have said that word about yourself more times than any living person has ever said it to you. Sit with the arithmetic of that. Whoever hurt you worst said it a handful of times, on a handful of bad days, and then went home and forgot. You have said it every week for years, quietly, reliably, without ever once being asked to. It has become the thing you answer to inside your own head. You would never say it out loud. You would be embarrassed to. But it is the drawer your thoughts file you in, and it opens on its own. When something good arrives, that word gets to the door first. When someone tells you they are grateful for you, it stands up before the thank you does and explains to you why they are mistaken. When you pray and nothing seems to move, it leans in and offers you the reason. It has been doing your thinking for you. Put your hand flat on your throat, not on your chest. Your throat, the narrow place where words are made before anyone else hears them. Leave it there a moment. Feel the swallow go down under your fingers. That is where it lives. Not in your head, where you assumed. Right there, in the muscle that has to move before a sound can leave you. It has a body. It takes up room. It is why your voice gets tight in certain conversations and you cannot work out why, and it is why you clear your throat before you pray, every single time, as though you were asking permission at a door. Now you understand what the second hand is guarding. It is not guarding your situation. I already know your situation. It is not guarding what was done to you, or what you did, or the year that went wrong. It is guarding one word about who you are, and you have decided that word must never be said in front of me. I know why. You are not afraid I would be angry. That is not the fear, and it never was. You are afraid that if you finally said it out loud in my hearing, I would go quiet, that there would be a pause, and that the pause would mean yes. That is what your hand is really over, not the word, my answer to it. So you have kept me in the dark on purpose, and then wondered why the dark felt so long. Hear me now. I never asked you to let go. I asked you to say it. That is all. It is not a test and there is no correct wording, and you do not have to explain yourself afterward. One word out of a closed throat. The same word you already use about yourself in private 20 times a week, with nobody there to hear it. You have said it in front of a broken cup. Say it in front of me. Something changes when it crosses your lips in my direction. It changes owner. That is the whole mechanism, and it is simpler than you have made it. As long as it stays behind your hand, it belongs to you, and you go on paying for it every day out of a strength you needed for other things. Said out loud in front of me, it becomes mine to answer, and I answer everything that is handed to me. You have been holding a word I want, not to use against you. There is no case being built here, no file, no long memory of your failures waiting to be read back to you in order. I want it, because nothing gets answered while it is still being hidden. A word has to leave your throat before anyone can speak back to it. And I am not going to take it. I have never taken anything out of a person's hand. I wait until it is offered, so the hand on me stays where it is. That was never the problem. The other one is going to have to come down, and I already know that everything in you is telling you it cannot, and that the cost of it would be more than you can currently pay. Let me show you a night when it happened. There was a man who did exactly this, at a river, in the dark, holding on with everything he had left. And the whole thing turned on one word out of his own throat. His name was Jacob, and the name was an accusation. It meant the one who grabs. He came into the world with his fist closed around his brother's heel, and he never really opened it after that. He took a birthright. He took a blessing that belonged to someone else, standing in a dark room, in front of a father whose eyes had failed, answering out loud to a name that was not his. Then he ran, for 20 years. And on the night before, he had to stand in front of the brother he had robbed. He sent every person he loved across the water and stayed on the empty bank alone. Someone came out of the dark and took hold of him. They held each other until the sky started to go gray. Now listen to how it ended, because this is the part that gets skipped. It did not end when he won. It ended with a question. The one holding him asked him what his name was. I knew his name. I have never needed information from anybody. I asked because there is a difference between a thing being true and a thing being said, and he had spent his whole life standing in the dark, answering that exact question with somebody else's name. This time he said his own. Jacob, the grabber, the one who takes what was not handed to him. He said the worst word about himself out loud, to the face he still could not see, with his arms shaking and nothing left to trade. And this came back to him. It is written in Genesis chapter 32, verse 28. Your name will no longer be Jacob but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with men, and you have overcome. Take it apart with me, slowly. Every piece of it matters. Your name will no longer be Jacob. Notice what I did not do. I did not argue with the word. I did not stand there and tell him he had never been a grabber, that he had misjudged himself, that the whole thing was in his head. It was not in his head. He had been exactly that. The word was retired, not disputed. So take that with you first of all. I am not going to debate you about your word. But Israel, that is the word I told you I had been keeping back. Now hear what it means, because the whole night is hidden inside it. It means he struggles with God. That is the meaning. The new name has the fight built into it. Read that again if you have to. He had just spent an entire night wanting the struggle to be over, and what he was handed was a name made out of the struggle. Not a name that erased it. Not a clean name from a different life. I reached into the worst night of his life, took the thing he was most ashamed of, and made it the word he would be called by for the rest of time. And a whole nation after him would be called by it. Because you have struggled with God and with men. That is the reason clause. Hear what it does not say. It does not say because you finally beat me. It does not say because you held out long enough to earn something. It gives the reason as the struggling itself. And you have overcome. That word comes last and it comes after, and it does not replace the one before it. He did not overcome instead of struggling. He overcame in it. And the overcoming was that he stopped defending his own name. That was the whole hinge. One word out of a closed throat at daybreak. Now bring it back to where you are standing. You have been waiting for a name with no night in it. That is what you think is coming when this finally lifts. Some other version of you, unmarked, with none of this in the file. You have been waiting to be someone who never went through it, and you have half decided that until that person shows up, nothing good can be said about you. That person is not coming, and you would not want to be them. What is coming is a name with the night in it. The struggle does not get deleted from you. It gets moved. It stops being the evidence against you and becomes the material I build with. And the thing you have been trying to hide under your hand turns out to be the thing your new name is made of. You have been thinking of the crown as something that arrives after the storm to replace it. It is cut out of the storm. There is no other material. The nights you cannot account for. The hours nobody witnessed. The holding on that you were sure was proof of your failure. That is not the wreckage I am going to work around. That is the raw metal. That is what is in my hands. And I am not waiting for you to win before I say anything to you. I am waiting for one word. So let me tell you how small the thing I am asking for actually is. It does not have to be loud. Nobody has to be in the room. There is no posture, no opening line, no proper order to put it in. You do not have to be calm first, and you certainly do not have to be finished with the fight. The fight is not what stands between us. It never was. Say it out loud. That is the whole instruction. The word that comes out of you over a dropped cup, the one you would not want written down. Take that exact word, the ugly short one. Put it in the air where I can hear it. If your voice will only go as far as a whisper, whisper it. A whisper crosses the same distance as a shout. I am not standing across a field. And then there is the pause, the one you have been afraid of. You expect it to be long. You expect it to be the kind of silence that agrees with you, that lets the word stand, that lets you know I heard it and found nothing in me to say against it. That is the picture you have carried. It is the whole reason your hand went up at all. Here is what is actually in that pause. Your word is not what I have you filed under. It never has been. And since you have gone this far with me, I will tell you the entry. It is not the sort of thing you would guess about yourself. Held on, in the dark, without ever seeing my face. That is the line. That is what is written where you assumed something worse was written. Not a note about how badly it went. Not a summary of the months you have nothing to show for. The thing I wrote down was the holding, and I wrote it down while you were still convinced the holding was the proof of your defeat. You have been ashamed of the only part of this I have been proud of. Now let me be careful with you. I know what a tired person does with a promise. Do not turn this into a transaction. This is not a lever. Saying that word out loud is not a coin you put into a slot to make the circumstance turn over by some date you have quietly marked. I'm not offering you an outcome on a schedule. Anyone who hands you that is not reading from my book. What I am offering is the end of carrying it by yourself. That is not a small trade. Look at what the second hand has been costing you. It has been costing you the whole conversation. Every time you came to me with the report and left yourself out of it, you went away lighter about the situation and exactly as heavy about you. And then, you could not understand why the relief never reached the bottom. It never reached the bottom because the bottom was never mentioned. Try it the other way once. The next time that word comes up under your breath, do not swallow it. Do not correct it either. Do not lecture yourself about it. Just add 3 words to the end of it. Send it in my direction. Say it to me. That is all the practice there is. It turns a verdict into an address. The same word, aimed at someone instead of falling back down your own throat, stops being a sentence passed on you and becomes a sentence spoken to me. And a word spoken to me gets an answer. Every single time. You will notice something else after a while, not immediately, and not on any timetable I'm going to give you. The word starts losing its grip on your voice, not because you argued it down, not because you replaced it with something more positive, standing in front of a mirror repeating things you do not believe. It loses its hold because it stopped being a secret. Secrets are the only things that grow in the dark. Said in the open, in front of me, it becomes just a word, a fairly small one. It stops being your name. It becomes something you handed me. One more thing needs correcting before we finish. All this time you have been waiting for this stretch to be over, waiting for the end of it before your life is allowed to be good. I understand why. Nobody chooses a long night. But if you go on holding your good back until the last of this clears, you will hand over years you were meant to live inside, and you will do it out of a belief that never came from me. The name was given at the river, not after the river. Not once he was safe. Not once the brother was dealt with. Not on some better day, with the trouble already resolved, in the dark, mid-grip, with the outcome of the crossing still completely unknown, and his hip already going and nothing settled anywhere. That is where I do my naming, right in the middle of a thing that is not finished. The sky is going gray at the edge now. That is how these things end. Not with a bell, not with an announcement, not with somebody declaring the match over and everyone walking home. The dark just gets thinner, and you look down and find that what you were sure would be gone by then is still there, still in your hands, still pulling back. I have not moved. See clearly what is actually finishing here, because it is not the fight. The grip is not breaking. Nothing is being taken out of your fingers. The hold you have been inside of did not get broken. It got named. And a thing with a name is a thing you are no longer alone inside of. Keep the first hand where it is. I meant that at the start, and I mean it standing here. Hold on for as long as this takes, and longer if you need to. Nobody has ever been told by me that they were holding on too tightly. The other one comes down. Not far. It does not have to travel anywhere impressive. Down off your mouth, into your lap, where it can rest for the first time in more years than you would want to count. That is the whole distance involved. A few inches of a hand you forgot you were using. Then one word, in whatever voice is left in you. I never asked you to let go. I asked you to say it. You do not have to become someone else before you speak. You do not have to feel anything in particular. You do not have to believe the better version of yourself yet, and you do not have to have won a single thing. The word goes out. I receive it. And what comes back will not be silence. It will not be your own word handed back to you with my agreement stamped on it. It will be a name, Not one you earned out in the daylight where people could watch you earn it. One with the entire night still inside it. Cut from the exact material you were most ashamed of. Spoken over someone who is still holding on, in a body that has not properly rested in a long time, with nothing settled anywhere. That is who gets named. That is where I do it. You are not alone on this bank of the water. You have not been for 1 hour of it. Stay in my arms as long as you need to stay. Take the other hand down. Amen.